Hi, dragonflies. How are you all doing today? I really hope you're doing good. Welcome back to the channel if you've been before, but if you haven't and this is your first time, big welcome to you. My name is Dilly. We are doing a VR again today because I was tagged in this particular tag, okay, by the brilliant Angel at Feeding My Soul. And she apologised for keeping on tagging me in these, but I love it, Angel, so please don't stop. It's great fun. And this is an original tag by Tarot Ignited, and this is hashtag Deck Friends. And I don't know if I'm going to be tackling this quite the same way or quite in the sort of way that the original tag was intended. I'm not sure, but I'm dillying it up. I'm doing it my own way. But interestingly, the first sort of question that Tarot Ignited sort of brought up was, do I use tarot as a sort of replacement or substitute for human interaction? And I had to think about that for a little while. Now, I'm what I guess you would call an omnivert. I have times when I love being with people. I love socializing. As you know, I'm a talker. I'm a chatter. And I love talking with friends. I love sitting and drinking, eating with friends, and just being around people that I enjoy being myself around, I guess. I think that's sort of the difference when you get to sort of adult friendships. I think you tend to have sort of quality over quantity. And I'm certainly now sort of spending time with friends that I can totally be me around. But there are times when being in my little room with my tarot decks and my duvet, maybe a dog, maybe kittens, but just being alone, decompressing, and those times I find so valuable. And these are times when the last thing I want to do is be sociable. I'm such a contradiction in the sense that I love being sociable, but I also hate it sometimes. So yeah, I think I came to the conclusion, to cut a ridiculously long story short, or shorter, I came to the conclusion that I perhaps use tarot more as a substitution for a therapist than I do for kind of social interaction, because tarot is my therapy, and it's a brilliant therapy, and it works for me. So anyway, let's go on to the prompts. So the first prompt was a childhood friend. So this was described as somebody who perhaps you played with because your mums were friends and you were sort of thrown together a little bit because of that, or and I had a few of those because I had friends through my mum and dad's kind of Morris dancing. But I also have friends. My mum ran the local playgroup for a while that I started in before I went to primary school. And so I guess this kind of works. And I had one particular friend who I was friends with, I think to the end of primary school, and then we went to separate middle schools, because that was at the time when we had middle schools in the UK. And her name was Sarah. And as you know, my real name is Sarah. And we were sort of known as the terrible twins by our primary school teacher. Not because we were naughty. We weren't particularly naughty. We just didn't shut up. I think we just, from the moment we arrived at school to the moment that we left school, we just didn't stop talking to each other. And it just reminds me of a time when I just thought everything and everyone in the world was great. There were no issues. I had no experience that told me anything other than the fact that the world was a brilliant place. The world was just about fun and games and cuddles. And it just reminded me of a really innocent time when I knew nothing of any of the bad in the world, and I was just happy, confident, sparkly, shiny little me. And so for that, I went for this cute little deck, the Inner Child deck, for the love of tarot. And this is by Ariane Grizzly. And oh, it's so cute. It's a little indie deck that I found on Etsy for £10, which is crazy because it's really, really well produced. And it's just gorgeously cute and innocent. I have shown this. I did use this in another VR actually, because it's just, yeah, it's just innocence. Like even the clouds have got little smiley faces. I'll just get some different little dragonflies in it, which, you know, as you know, is never going to be a problem for me. And this is, look at the moon. Oh my gosh, she's so sweet. And I've not actually used this deck yet. This is definitely you know, the Inner Child deck is definitely an inner child, one for an inner child work, shall we say? But look how cute even the villain is. But it's actually kind of, I think it's sort of plugged as a, plugs, that's not the right word. I think it was described as a beginner's deck actually on changes. See, for some reason that reminds me of being in those little kind of when you used to put massive, like, your dad's shirts on at school. You used to take your dad's old shirts into school and then you'd put them on backwards for painting time. And I can remember the wet area at primary school, which was kind of behind the, we had like the classroom, then the row of pegs and stuff for our coats, and behind that was what they called the wet area, which was where the sinks were and where all the painting happened and stuff. And I can remember getting, we weren't allowed in there at break time, and for some reason myself and the other Sarah decided we were going to go in there. We didn't do anything bad, we were just in the wet area, and we got told off for being in the wet area. And that's the first time I ever remember getting told off at school, because it didn't happen very often. I was a proper goody two shoes. And that just, yeah, that card particularly reminds me of me and my terrible twin Sarah getting caught in the wet area at break time. But yeah, so that's such a sweet little deck. It's a cute kind of, you know, innocent deck. It's a time of just when everything just feels wonderful and exciting, and yeah, just a time of innocence, I guess. So prompt number 2 is a school friend. I've cheated a little bit because I've gone with a couple of school friends, and they were from secondary school. I think because I sort of started to find my tribe a little bit at secondary school. I had all my dance friends who I always kind of considered closer friends because they were, you know, doing the same thing as I was. I had the same commitment to dance as I did. But actually, now I look back, I had a couple of friends at secondary school who were just so accepting of me, and they weren't in the dance world. There was no competition between us. There was no judgment. We were just friends because we liked each other and we got on and we kind of connected. And I think it was, I wish I'd known this at the time, but looking back, I really think it was the first time I was with friends who I could be me around and I didn't have to pretend. And these two particular friends, I will mention them now, were Linda and Nicola. And Linda particularly I went on to sixth form with, and we remained really close. And we were obsessed with Friends, the sitcom Friends, absolutely obsessed with it. And it's pretty much all we talked about for quite some time. But moving on to the deck, when we were in secondary school together, we did a school production of The Wiz, so like the kind of Motowny version of The Wizard of Oz, and it was the best time I had at secondary school. I remember and look back on that so fondly. And Linda and Nicola were both in The Wiz. I played Dorothy. My friend Nicola played the lion. Bless her, she had to crimp her hair and backcomb every day. I mean, it was shocking the amount of hairspray that she went through for that particular one. But she had this gorgeous, lovely, long blonde hair that just kind of, that became this lion's mane. And Linda, I think, she was an Emerald City resident, a munchkin, and we just had the best time doing that. So the Wizard of Oz deck just seems to be the best choice for this. It's totally what I have got kittens, by the way. Now they've just come in, waiting to be fed, so they may make an appearance. But yeah, it was the happiest time at school with those friends, and with those two friends in particular. And so now we have Mr. Timothy Garfield Nugget, known as Nugget, has appeared. Some of you will be familiar with Timothy Garfield Nugget. But yeah, if you can still see the cards, do I leave this in? Or do I pause and kind of hoik you off? I don't know. I think, we're going to have both of them now. Okay. My dragonflies are... hi. My dragonflies are trying to look at the cards. Yes. I know you want your food, but can I do it in a minute? Is that okay? Thank you. Oh, Laszlo's gone. What I really love about this deck is that I was really surprised by how good it was, actually. Given that it was kind of like a pop culture deck, I guess you could call it. I just think it's beautifully produced. It's such a gorgeous deck, and it reads really well, actually. And I love that some of the mages are in the kind of sepia black and white, and then you get the colour, just like in the 1939 film. I think it's wonderful. But yeah, for me, it just reminds me of the time that we did that production at school with those two friends in particular, because it really was the happiest time. And also, as an aside, it reminds me of Mini Dilly as well, because we are a bit obsessed with Wicked between us. So yeah, it's a happy little deck for me. It's a nostalgic deck. It's a very happy, contented, sparkly little deck, and I love it. So I'm going to pop it away. There are plenty of people have done walkthroughs of this deck if you want to see it properly, but I'm getting invaded by kittens, so I'm just going to pop it away for now. So this next prompt is probably the easiest one to do for me, and this is Bestie. And I don't have a bestie in terms of like the one friend, because I have a few friends that I would consider best friends, but the one that this prompt makes me think of in particular is a friend that was a bridesmaid at my wedding. We sing together. We've sung together in 3 bands. And we are basically each other in different bodies. We are the same person. We have the same insecurities, the same anxieties. And I think that we know more about each other than anyone else does. I know she certainly knows more things about me than anybody else in the world, because there is zero judgment with this particular friend. And we're so in sync about things to the point where I don't want to bang on about the performance thing, but it's a real thing for us, is that we sing harmonies and we just know what the other one's going to do now. And if one of us changes the kind of rhythm pattern of a line in a song, the other one automatically is there. Is doing it with them. We just feel each other, not in a remotely inappropriate way, but sort of mentally, and I guess we feel each other. And so she is the one friend really that I feel I can go to when things are really bad. And I know she will listen to me over and over again, talking about the same subject, without getting bored, without going, oh, for God's sake, you should be over this by now. She will always listen and she will not judge. And I do the same for her. So it had to be, I mean, this is for lovely Jen. This is First Aid for Broken Hearts, because I feel like that's what we are for each other. And it's just so special to have that connection with a friend. I feel so lucky that I have that with her, and that we think the same. And so when you say to her, oh God, I'll be thinking this, like, is that really weird? Should I be thinking that? Oh my God, I feel awful for thinking that. And she'll say, that's totally what I'd feel too, or you're not wrong for feeling that way. She absolutely validates everything I'm feeling, and I like to think that I do the same for her. There is no judgment. We heal. I think we heal each other. I think that's just the way I see our friendship, which is why this is just the, oh, look how cute. Oh, a compassionate union upholds your kindred spirit. There we go. I mean, that's perfect. We are kindred spirits, 100%. And we've actually had very different life experiences, but they really have kind of somehow gelled together to make us this unique, very special friendship where we're an open book for each other. And yeah, like I say, she knows more of my secrets than anybody else. And my husband's going to watch this video and go, oh yeah, okay, what? It's more just the things that I think no one else will understand. She does. So yeah, and this is one of my favourite decks. Like, I literally could not live without this deck. It's just, not only is it utterly beautiful, and this is my favourite magician card. I adore it. So yeah, that's definitely my bestie. First Aid for Broken Hearts. That is 100%, I think, what we are for each other. At least I hope we are. I've got to tell you, dragonflies, it's all going pear-shaped here. There's kitten carnage everywhere. Technological problems. I'll be amazed if I get through this video, honestly. So do bear with me. The next prompt is for Drinking Buddy. Now, this comes with a caveat. I am not a big drinker at all. I actually very rarely drink, unless I am with 3 particular people. And they are a very good friend, my cousin-in-law, and my sister. And if I'm with them, suddenly there's a glass of wine in hand, and it all goes downhill from there. But like I said, I haven't seen any of them for a few weeks, actually, because things have just been so crazy. And I haven't had a drink. So yeah, I mean, what does that tell you? We are bad influences on each other. I won't blame them entirely, because it's not fair, because we influence each other. So I've chosen one of these wonderful people for this particular prompt, because all 3 of them fit all of the following prompts. So I've had to kind of narrow it down to 1 per prompt. And this is my cousin-in-law. And I've gone for the Witch Sister Tarot for this. Now, there's a couple of reasons. One is because Witch Sister, we very much consider each other sisters-in-law as opposed to cousins-in-law. And so that's the first reason. And the second reason is because she's really supportive of my path. And she's really supportive in general. She's, she comes and helps me at vintage fairs. She's there every time. She's a huge support to myself and my husband, particularly when we've been going through really dark, difficult times. So yeah, she's a huge support. She really supports my, as I say, my kind of current path with the witchcraft and tarot. In fact, she's one of the few people I've done a reading for. But also, as much as we get on and as close as we are, we also occasionally maybe rub each other up the wrong way, I think. And that kind of is really how I feel about this deck, because I like the deck. I love the deck. Actually, I love the deck, and I love the idea of the deck. And it's a lovely deck. Aside from the backs drive me mad. They just don't work for me. The backs don't connect with the fronts of the cards for me at all. And some of the cards, sometimes I just go, it's just not. It's not for me. But those moments are very, very rare, and they're never in place for long. And we just, it's pretty much mostly just love and support. And so those are the kind of reasons for this deck. It was really difficult to choose a deck for her. And she's a outwardly super confident lady, and she doesn't take any crap from anybody, but she's very like me sort of inside, and I think that's why, you know, we get on brilliantly, but occasionally I think probably I annoy the hell out of her, and probably and vice versa. I mean, it's things like, you know, when we're at vintage fairs and I'm having a massive flap and a panic about, oh no, I don't know what to do with this dress, and oh, do you think I should put that there, or where do you think I should hang this, and oh my god, where should we position this, because they've put us in a really strange place, and she will just go, look, you're doing my head in now, calm down, we're going to put this over there, I'm taking charge now. She'll do this, she will take charge of of situations, and I'm not going to lie, I need that sometimes when I'm having a real kind of anxious flap. She will take charge and go, right, you need to just calm down, and you know, I'm taking over here because you're losing the plot. And I do need that sometimes. So ow, sorry, I've just I've got a kitten playing with my feet, do you mind, sir? And he's now playing with the cable on. Do you see what I'm up against today, dragonflies? Honestly, it's just chaos. I'm sorry again about the camera stand rattling, but I'm afraid that Mr. Timothy Garfield Nugget and Mr. Laszlo have decided to use the cable that's attached to it to play with. So that's fun. Anyway, so that is my drinking buddy. Will you stop it? We have been joined now for the next prompt, dragonflies, by a guest star. Honestly, they've trashed my altar. They've come in and like it's kind of decorated with a bow at the moment, which is now on the floor. The altar cloth is all over the place. And what are you doing now? Boys, yeah, they are just full of it. I can't promise that we're not going to get more wobbling and kitten interaction, but you know, who doesn't love a kitten, right? So the next prompt, moving on, is the gossiper. So this is one of the ladies that I could have used for drinking buddy. She is the mum of one of Minnie Dilly's friends, and she is brilliant. She is a lot of fun. She's another very bold, very confident lady. She doesn't care. She just does not care what anybody thinks. She will speak her mind. She's so sort of self-confident, and I admire that so much because it's so not like me. and she's originally from Blackpool, and she's great. She'll sit down and she'll go, "Oh, I don't really have to excuse me because my accent will be crap." But she'll sit down and go, "Oh, go on, tell me, what's the gossip? What have you heard? What have you heard? What's the?" And yeah, she's brilliant. She's just a lot of fun, and she's also she can be quite sarcastic, but brilliantly so. And because of that, I had to pick the Dark Mansion Tarot. She's bold, she's confident, she's challenging and sarcastic, and doesn't care what anyone thinks. And yes, she wants to know all the goss. She's honestly a breath of fresh air, this particular friend. And I just immediately thought of the Dark Mansion Tarot for her, because this is, I think I've used this in a previous VR, saying that it's a sarcastic deck, which it is. And again, I have to put, Kitten, do you mind? Thank you. Kitten climbing up my leg. I've said in previous VRs that I may very well be using decks that I have shown before. But that's because I want to answer these prompts honestly. People, go to the trouble of creating these tags and all the prompts. And so I want to be honest about my answers. So whilst I have used this before as my most sarcastic deck, I think that's because she's my most sarcastic friend. And I love her for it. I could also use this for my daughter, because Minnie Dilly is the queen of sarcasm. But yeah, so that's definitely why I've picked this deck for my gossipy friend. Oh, go on. What did they say? Oh, who's that? Who's doing it? It's brilliant. She's just great. So much fun. Yeah, Dark Mansion Tarot is for sure. Kittens, do you mind? I'm so sorry, dragonflies. You're going to have to put up with the wobbling, because they've decided that my stand is the best thing ever to play with. Mr. Laszlo. Ow! That is not a toy. Dark Mansion Tarot. Okay, the next prompt is the jokester. And, how appropriate is it that Mr. Timothy Garfield Nugget has appeared at my side? Because you are the jokester, aren't you? You're the mischief out of the pair. I nearly chose my husband for this, because he will say something that makes me laugh every single day. He is my best friend, but I have talked about him, bless his heart, so much on this channel, and the deck that is his deck 100% is the Phantom Wise. It's the one that is, that is cheating on me with my husband. But I thought, to be a bit different, I would go for another friend who I used before lockdown happened. We used to go out regularly, just for a chat and a meal. And from start to finish, I would be crying, laughing. He has a sense of humour that is, I'm going to say, unique, to say the least. He is the guitarist. He's the lead guitarist in the band. And he is his jokes are so inappropriate, but you kind of forgive him. It's because of the sort of relationship we have, I've gone with the mystical melodies, because it's got the musical connection, but it's also got the kind of comical connection. And actually, a lot of the jokes we make are sort of around music. I mean, that's just, I don't know whether, see, they're so inappropriate that I don't even know whether to share them with you. But I play guitar, but I'm not a guitarist. I whack out a few chords here and there. But he is an exceptional guitarist. But he has cerebral palsy. And so because of that, to play certain chords, he has to sort of adapt a little bit. And now I can't play bar chords to save my life. I'm terrible. If a bar chord comes up, I'll just go, no, sorry, I'm not playing in this song. But in discussing bar chords, he has often said, well, I can't always play certain chords, so I use the meat rap. And for some reason, we found this the funniest thing ever, because basically we are children. But yeah, the meat rap for guitar is basically just wrap your whole hand around. Yeah, anyway, has become, you know, a thing. It's become a standing joke for us. And like I say, he just has a kind of hugely inappropriate sense of humor, but he gets away with it. He doesn't think he gets away with it. He's often sort of quite apologetic for it, but he does get away with it. And he just, it's just, sorry, it's just making me laugh. It's just, and if ever, like, if we have a conversation like on Windows Messenger, 9 times out of 10, it gets stupid. And it will start about a rehearsal, or chords in a song or something like that. And it will turn into just stupidity. And so that's, you know, that was my reason for choosing this. It's just, we just find such childish things funny. And I mean, actually, to be honest, as a band, we kind of do. We have a bass player who's a lot older, and very experienced, who is very funny, and we do share a joke with him. But I think perhaps that myself, our drummer, the guitarist, and the other singer, we are quite childish in rehearsals with some of our jokes as well. But yeah, there's the guitarist particularly. So that's why I've chosen this particular deck. It's not a deck I've used yet, actually. It's fairly new to my collection. But I think, yeah, it's just, if I was going to read for him, actually, this would be, I love the 9 of Cups. It's just so fun. Sorry. Yeah, so I think this is the deck I would use for him as well. Yeah, just so childish, inappropriate humor, unique sense of humor, I think. And, you know, he's one of those relationships where, you know, someone said something that's caught both of us as funny, because we just share this look across the rehearsal room. So yeah, that's my jokester. Mystical Medleys, vintage cartoon tarot. Okay, I've now had to ruin my pretty shot with the cable because I've had to move it. I've had to stop it dangling because I'm basically being used as a kitten tree, and getting claws in the thigh as they try and get to the cord. And they're just round by my feet now. Anyway, the next prompt is the challenger, so a friend that challenges you. I think most of the previous ones I've mentioned could probably fall into this category to a degree, but I'm going to use my wonderful big sister for this one. And the reason being is that a lot of people say, I can't believe you two are sisters. We are polar opposites in so many ways. Particularly growing up, I was, up until I reached a certain age and experience, this bubbly, outgoing little entertainer. I probably was horribly annoying for her. In fact, I know I was, because we used to get into so many arguments. Because I wanted to be with her. She was my big sister, and I was like, oh, she's amazing. Can I come and do this with you? Can I come and do that with you? Can I be with you? And I think I probably drove her completely batty, because she is much more introverted than me, even now. And I mean, even like physically, we're so different. She's blonde hair, blue eyed. I'm naturally brunette, not brunette now. I'm more sort of auburn, depending on the point of time between hair dyes that I'm at. And I have green eyes, and so we don't look much like each other. She looks very much like my mum. I look like my dad. And we're just very different people, and we handle things. So I should probably get this out while I'm talking, shouldn't I? So this is a tarot of oppositions, which just, we are such polar opposites, that this just seemed to be the right deck. But, you know, in more recent times, as we've, you know, grown up, got married, had families, we've become just so much closer. And I think we're at a point now where we sort of embrace and accept each other's differences. And we don't see them as a flaw in each other anymore. And I think that that's really helped us to build an even stronger sisterly bond. We've always had a sisterly bond, you know, and even through the childhood arguments and you know, differences. But I think that now, I mean, we've had the last few years have been difficult, and are still somewhat difficult within the close family, and that's brought us closer too. And actually, I think the way that the other person deals with it has actually helped the other sister. I don't know if that makes sense. So what were our sort of where our differences probably divided us in our earlier days, they're actually working for us now, and we're benefiting from each other's point of view. We're benefiting from each other's reactions to things, and I think that that's brought us really, really close. And yes, we do drink when we get together. I'm making it sound like we just absolutely go wild. We don't. We will get together at a family occasion, and provided neither of us is driving, which we try and make sure we're not, we try and make sure the husbands are driving, we will sit there and we'll have a couple of bottles of wine together, and just we'll reminisce, or we reminisce a lot, actually. And I think that we have an understanding that only sisters can have. We have an understanding of our family, of the personalities in our family, of how our family deals with things. And we've also been able to have conversations now about our childhood where I've gone, what, you thought that too? That was your perspective too? Wow, I never realized that. So yeah, I think the key thing with the connection of the deck is that what used to kind of be challenging, the differences between us that used to make our relationship a little bit challenging here and there, have actually bonded us in a really unique and special sisterly way in our adulthood. And you know, I could not be without my sister. She's she's one of the most important people. I'm going to get emotional. She's one of the most important people in my life, and we don't see each other often enough. Really, we're both very really busy lives, but she still is an absolute rock. I hope we are rocks for each other. Actually, I think that's the way I see it now. So yeah, I could go on and on, but that is the Tower of Oppositions. So I think we are at the final prompt, which is the cool friend, the friend you always admired for being really cool. This was so difficult because, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way to my friends at all, I actually mean this as a huge compliment. A lot of I've never, even as a kid, been drawn to the cool, popular kids. I've always been drawn to and made the best friends with kids that were quieter or a bit quirkier, or maybe what you would term nerdy, which is a term I hate. But you know, I've always connected with people that are just that little bit following their own path, I guess, doing their own thing, not wanting to necessarily worry about, you know, getting the coolest trainers or, you know, having the latest hairstyles. That was a thing when I was a kid. You know, who had the perm? You know, and things like that. And I was never drawn to those kids. And I think that's why some of the friendships I made felt quite special, because they were genuine connections with people that I had things in common with, I guess, and that I didn't have to pretend with. And so that's why this was difficult. But there was one friend I had, and I was actually really good friends with her. She was a dancing friend, and I spent a lot of time at her house, and going places like cinema and stuff with her. And she always struck me as cool, like super cool. She even does now. Like, I've reconnected with her on Facebook. We don't really talk much on there, but you know, even now, she's just cool, glamorous. She always had, you know, like the latest toy that you wanted. Let me get the deck while I'm just waffling on. I've gone for the Pulp Girls Tarot because they remind me of her so much. These kind of almost doll-like. She was, you know, just incredibly pretty, blonde, massive big eyes. Always like, I think she always had, you know, attracted, you know, the boyfriends, because I knew her for a lot of years. I knew her from probably about 3 or 4 till we were 18. And, or actually, she was a little bit younger than me. I think she was about a year and a half younger than me. And I just, you know, she, even like a few years after I'd sort of lost touch with her, she was an FHM hottie, I think. Was it HFM hottie? I can't remember. FHM, you know, the awful men's magazine where they just have like a hottie of the week or something that comes in and has photos of. But she was in that, and I was like, my God. But she was always just so glamorous. Even like, I kind of imagine that if we'd had like the kind of beauty pageants they have in the States, I kind of imagine she would have been totally in toddlers and tiaras with the fake tan and the teeth flipper thing and the makeup and the sparkles and the big hair and the little pink fluffy dress. And you know, and when we did like dance competitions, like most of her dances were, she was the one in the pink fluffy dress, and I was quite often an animal. I've been Tarka the otter, I've been Jerry the mouse, I've been a satire, mischievous satire, I've been Pan. Yeah, I did get to wear the pretty dresses, I did sometimes, but she was always the one that wore the pretty dresses. And she was, I would say, the one kind of cool friend that I had. Actually, we were really good friends as kids, but I think that we perhaps maybe would have inevitably, had we not gone separate ways anyway with education and things like, so I'm so sorry about the kittens, just with this stand, how are you still doing that? I think that we possibly would have drifted apart anyway had we not gone different ways with education and things. But this deck jumped out when I thought of her. This deck jumped out for sure. She was always just, as I say, the glamorous, pretty friend. And I have very fond memories of spending time with her. I really do. So yeah, that's the Pulp Girls Tarot, and that is the cool friend. So yeah, like I said, I don't think I've shown any sort of like outstanding decks, any new exciting decks. I've just answered it honestly as I can, and interpreted the tag in the best way I can. Thanks again to Angel for tagging me, and to Tarot Ignited for the original tag. It's great. I love it. It really made me think. And I hope you guys enjoyed it, even though we had some technical and feline difficulties along the way. Yeah, so take care, lovely dragonflies, and I will see you all soon, I hope.